way
Right.
to the drainage
And
basin.
there's a road that was put in, access road to that new development.
Right. But that one goes to the basin, not to this swale.
Right, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah,
This is it. So
the
this is
final
built
property.
out all the way. I will tell you, there's part of the job for the town is we're not gonna, I mean, he's making stormwater improvements, so we're not gonna undo
No,
what's been done there.
there's definitely improvements. My biggest thing is these swales seem to be forgotten. So 5 years from now, we've got a swamp, we've got cat nine tails in that, and nobody maintains them.
Right.
And that's the
So,
biggest thing I'm worried about.
So if it's the
So that's
town's
a-
responsibility.
yeah, well, if we get this right, which we plan to do, is in the end that stormwater, the maintenance plan for this basin will become transferred to the association, which will then, assess the property owners what it will take to maintain the system, which will be part of, which again will be part of the
So
town.
we'll see that later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one good thing is they have an association that in place. They haven't really done any maintenance, obviously, you can see that up there. But again, the subdivision hasn't been complete either, so it's been in that flux state. So I think once we get through this whole process of getting the subdivision
Get
completed,
the companies together.
yeah.
Okay. Josh, anything else?
Yeah, just as he was mentioning the kind of order of the development throughout the rest of the development, with the swale starting basically on this property, we have a little bit of and the other properties already be developed. We kind of got an advantage, I guess, for the stormwater point of view, so we could reconfigure this to this configuration, and basically as long as we met the pre and post rates and volumes going to the swale on the next property, it wouldn't affect anything. Now if, like for example, Trident to the north of us, if they want to eliminate this swale, then obviously that would be a big problem for not only this lot but the rest of the development, cutting off flow. But where we're providing additional treatment and reducing the amount of runoff going to this well by infiltrating on the lot, and the operation and maintenance plan that we've provided to both the planning board and to Concom in our submittal, in our drainage report, it should be good guidance going forward for maintenance, which I think we can all agree is the what's been missing here. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Any others? I think we've gotten good base of knowledge in what's going forward.
Don't look at me like.
Oh, I'm not. Anybody in the audience? All right. I'll accept a motion to close this hearing.
Peter Kokinda, so moved.
Second?
Jim Wilson, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'll accept a motion to -1 determination and a -6.
We had Caitlin's. You good with everything?
Yes. So, based on my desktop review of GIS information, review of applicable state and local wetland laws and regulations, stormwater regulations, and observations I made at the site, it's my professional opinion that the water quality swale is non-jurisdictional. In addition to that, I did not observe any jurisdictional areas or their prospective buffer zones that are located within the proposed project limit. So with that, I would recommend a -1 determination, which states the area described in the request is not an area subject to jurisdiction under the Act. And a -6, the area and/or work described in the request is not subject to additional review under the bylaw.
Thank you.
You looking for the motion? Adam Zucker moves, we issue a -1 determination and -6 determination on 11 Shire Drive.
Will there be a second?
Peter Kokinda, second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on. 5 Sparrow Road, RDA. I'll accept
you.
Thank you very much, Josh.
Thank you.
I'll accept a motion to open this hearing, the public hearing.
Adam Zucker, so moved.
Go ahead.
Adam Zucker, second. I heard him say it.
Al Finney, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And who do we have?
Yes, good evening. Should be on. Good evening. My name is Stella Deng, and I'm the owner of the 5 Sparrow Road. And I'm here today to request that we would like to remove a few trees on our yard. And as you can see there, those are 4 area that I would like to remove the trees, like in the front yard. A, B, C, D, those are the area that we would like to remove. And if you can go down a little bit, please. Yep, go to next page, please. Yep, and these trees, they are right at the front door, so it's caused damage to the house. And as you can see, they're planted too close to the house right there. Can you go down a little bit, please? And we would like to remove a few trees here because they are so close to the electric line, and we worry that it might fall down on the electric line. And there are a few more down. Yep, those are just the extra picture of those like tree right the driveway. Can you go down, please? Yep, you can see that it's so close to the line. And
I'm surprised the utility company hasn't taken them down.
yeah, and there are two trees like on the right side of the house, and you can see that they are infested, and there's a split right there, and I was told that it might fall down. And yep, could you go down a little bit, please? Yep, you can see that like it's only have like 40% of the roof, so it's not in a good shape there. And we would like to remove a few trees in the backyard too. And as you can see, those are growing, like the branch touched the roof already. And you can see the roof down here, like it's still growing. So it's already damaged the area. And we have like 2 young children, and they like to run around and climb up the trees, and like they fall and like they fell, and like yeah, so we would request to remove those trees.
Do we have a plot plan?
This is the house with the pond in the backyard, correct?
Yes, yes.
Which is next to the driveway. How in relationship are these trees to that pond?
That's, yeah.
What do you mean?
How
by
many
that?
feet away?
How close are you to?
So I have
I'm not
Okay.
exactly
I have
sure.
the approximate locations listed
were
for
out-
each area.
you've seen- okay.
Yeah. Although, actually, if you want to bring up the figure that shows the different areas, A through D, I can go over back to the RDA.
Looks like a beautiful backyard.
It is.
Thanks.
I've been there several
been there.
times.
Oh, you have been there?
I've been to that house and the house next door with the stream that goes to that pond.
Oh, we are the
That's what I
new
was
owner.
asking.
We just moving like 2
Yes.
months ago.
Welcome to town.
Thank you.
So there's 2 trees in Area C. Those are located outside the 100-foot buffer zone. The 3 trees located in Area B, are approximately 92 feet away from jurisdictional wetland areas. And I wanted to note that the existing paved driveway and a good portion of forested upland area separates those trees from the wetlands. There's 2 trees in Area A. Those are the ones that were kind of in the front of the house. The closest one is approximately 53 feet away from the wetlands. The one if you're looking at the house, the one on the right is even farther away. Again, that's separated by the existing driveway and forested upland areas. And then there's 7 trees proposed to be removed in Area D. And they range from approximately 42 to 70 feet away from the wetland area, the pond. The buffer zone in that area has been previously altered. It's currently maintained lawn, landscaped areas, and garden areas. And when I was out there, I noted at least 3 of the 7 trees in Area D are invasive honey locust trees. And I did note that there were some of the the limbs in the upper canopy did appear to be dead and or dying. So I definitely agree that there is a potential risk of those falling.
How many total trees?
14 total.
Yes, 14, like 7 at the front and 7 at Area D.
Have you contacted a tree company already? You plan on having a crane come in to remove these?
Yes.
Well, in the D area, there's going to have to be a crane
Oh,
because you can't get
yeah.
equipment back there
Yeah.
that I know of. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Tree climbers. Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board? Is there anybody in the audience? Quite a project undertaking. Okay. Anything else, Caitlin?
Just as far as, buffer zone impacts, especially where the trees are, potentially in the 0 to 50 foot, no disturb. This is an existing single-family home with existing lawn areas. The trees themselves don't provide any shade to that ponded area. So as far as impacts to water quality, removing those canopies wouldn't have an impact on that.
Are they going to remove all the trees?
Yes.
And the concerns noted in the application, I'm in agreement with. And I think, given all the information, the commission could consider issuing a -3 determination. So the work is.
Yeah, it's not you. Okay, go ahead, Kaylin.
A -3 determination. So work is in the buffer zone, however, ultimately will not impact the resource areas. I did have a couple conditions for the -3 if the commission were to consider that. So temporary erosion controls. Given the short duration of the type of work like this, a small diameter straw wattle would be appropriate. I'm assuming you're planning on removing the stumps? Yes.
Do we want that out of D?
Are they gonna, the stump's gonna be dug out, or are they gonna be ground with a,
We think about like ground the stump. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Dry.
I
Grind
can't
it.
think of the grinder or whatever.
Yeah.
Stump grinder. So they do need the wattles around that when that happens, because that
Yeah.
really tills up the,
But that'll be less aggressive than having them ripped out.
yes.
So that would have to be removed on the spots that are close to the wetland areas, right?
It'll end up just being
As long
wood
as you
chip.
have a stock.
I'm sorry, what would have to be removed?
Because if they're gonna ground, usually the person that grounds the stumps is not the person that removes the material.
The
That's usually a
grinding.
landscaper who comes back later. So concern would be that that stuff could potentially wash into the wetland area, the stump ground material.
The wood chips would need to be removed, at least in area D.
Has your contractor talked to you about that at all? About the grindings
No.
when they grind the
I,
stumps?
I didn't ask
We
into
probably
that
want, we
detail.
do want those removed, so they don't impact the water area.
Yep. I can make sure that they will do that.
Yeah, we'll put that on as a special
Would
condition.
that be just, you think, area D or all? Because up front, it's not near the wetlands at all, in the front yard.
Right, I think maybe either remove the wood chips from the site or store them, a minimum of 100 feet away from
So they can use them,
the
but,
resource areas.
yeah. Okay,
That sounds,
reasonable.
And another condition to consider, replacement plantings. The commission has required those for similar projects. Although on the site, it's the soil type is Merrimack fine sandy loam, which is excessively well drained. So without some type of irrigation, replacement plantings would have a tough time. So the cost benefit ratio of that might not be, practical for this level of
Just
work.
so the homeowner knows, you just can't plant trees in that area. You have to come before us and talk to Caitlin before you do any,
Well, no, planting would,
they can just go ahead and plant?
yes,
Oh,
as long as they're not, digging up wetlands to install plantings.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought you were going in a different direction. All right. Final comments,
Is it,
question?
is it a grassy area? Is it, because I can't bring up, my computer's not working, and D, is that trees surrounded by grass? Because they're not thick enough to, just like if
Yeah,
you,
see?
it's kind of a leaf area.
There's so much ground.
There's not much grass underneath those trees. She's indeed to
Yeah.
take. That's kind of it right there. So there is grassy
then
area there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
so, maybe
Five
grass
of
it
the
back
7.
over so it doesn't,
Yeah,
Yeah,
reasonable.
just so it's
I
not
think
left
the
bare.
wood chips 100 feet away from the pond area
Yep.
will be sufficient, and they can just put seed or whatever, grass,
Yeah.
whatever they want to grow in it.
So, installation of temporary erosion controls, such as a straw wattle or comparable alternative, and then, following removal or grinding of the stumps, reseeding. And then, secondly, removal of wood chips from the site or stored on a location more than 100 feet away from the wetland resource areas.
In section D or in the whole plan?
The whole plan would, because there's a stream that runs to the, if you're facing the front of the house, to the left of that house.
Gotcha.
There's a stream that runs all the way down to that pond in the backyard.
Gotcha, okay.
So it would have to be on the western portion of the site. And I'm happy to go out there and, point out where that would be.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Audience? Okay. With that, I'll accept a motion to close this hearing.
Al Finney, so moved.
Is there a second?
Peter Kokinda, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we'll make a motion for -3 and special conditions being store the wood chips 100 feet away from the wetlands
And the erosion controls.
and the erosion controls, 6-inch wattles.
I think. Yeah, I think that's about as small of a diameter as they go.
Yeah. So moved?
Adam Zucker, so moved.
I took the words out of my mouth. Is there a second?
Peter Kokinda, second.
Further discussion? Audience? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you very much. You did well.
Happy tree cutting.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, moving along. New England Mountain Bike Association. Chris?
Uh-oh, I want a lot out of these guys.
Good evening. For the record, Chris Patrick, New England Mountain Bike Association.
You might have to bring the mic a little closer to you. Thank you.
I prefer to sit. We have put together a proposal to do some boardwalk replacements at Lynn Farm as our first project. And I believe she's going to bring it up on the screen so that we can review it.
I appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you. Next. We're just going to walk through this. So to familiarize the locations in this first slide here, I'm using the old existing town map. And on it, I've drawn two basic locations where the existing boardwalks that we're proposing to replace. Next slide, please. This is a topographic map showing boardwalk number 1 location. If
Can you
scroll
bring that up
bit
a little more?
So you can see it.
Okay.
So that's good right there. You can see, and then I have pictures that follow in the next slide. So this is the existing condition of that boardwalk. You can see that it's a mix of old and older and newer and mostly older. It's approximately 70 feet long, and on one end you can see in that right photo that it's not long enough. Aging, nails are exposed nails in a few areas, loose boards, etc. You get the idea. On to the next one. This is bridge location number 2. This is a smaller one that crosses that stream. And if you go on to the next, it's roughly, the existing is roughly 10 feet long. You can see that the condition is pretty unsafe. It also has the need for an extended portion in order to make it right for the trail location. Next slide. So as I promised, I was going to show you the boardwalk standard that we use. And this is it. So it is all pressure-treated lumber. You can see that what we tend to propose is what's called a puncheon boardwalk, which means that we're setting it up on 6x6 landscape timbers. And it's mostly due to the fact that in the case of these trail locations, we're not putting it in across, for example, standing water or a swamp, where we would actually have to put posts to get down into bedrock so that you have a secure platform. So we would propose to use a puncheon-style boardwalk. In the case of this project, we're proposing a 3-foot wide, which is roughly what the existings were. And this represents a 12-foot section where we need to do longer sections. We just simply tie them together with Simpson tie straps, and then you know, if you're wondering like what happens in the wintertime, as the bridge moves from freezing and thawing, it stays together at that seam location with that Simpson tie strap. We secure all the decking. It's 2x8 decking. We secure all of it with ceramic coated decking screws, so that we can remove a screw when a board either cracks or has a tree fall across it or whatnot. The rest of it's toe nailed in with 16 penny coated galvanized nails. Next slide. Oh, before I go on, any questions on that design?
Some other projects that we've looked at, we've gone with a metal bridge. Would you consider something like that has open, spaces?
We could. I would tell you that the cost is probably 10x. And since we're planning to fund this bridge from as a way of donating to the town, I mean,
Okay. No,
that's where we would be stuck.
I can tell you that there are other bridges in other forests that have been there for 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have some pictures in the proposal here of some existing bridges with. that show the age.
It's more of let vegetation grow underneath it,
What's your
but
spacing between boards?
Excellent question. It's 3/4 of an inch, and we use a spacer when we lay the decking. It's a couple. I mean, we don't use decking spaces like you're building in a house.
No, that's why I'm asking.
3/4 of an inch spacing. It allows for some leaf litter to get pretty much washed off. It does allow a little bit of light through, but let's just be honest. I mean, it's a bridge.
Yeah.
There's not going to be much growth underneath it. And any that does grow, I mean, we're not trying to grow grass and plants on the trail surface, so I don't know why we would want to have growth coming through the bridge, personally.
The
But
bikes will take care of that as they.
well, trail use will take care of it, and a properly built trail won't have any vegetation in the tread, so.
Leaves plenty of opening for, that's why I was asking for
Yeah.
rainwater to go.
Sure enough, yeah. And snow. I mean, nobody's going to be shoveling the bridges, but
No.
when the snow falls through, it's less of a big,
Place for it.
sort of like a round hump. Instead, it's kind of like this flat with just spaces where the snow
no,
falls
it's a
through.
nice design.
We've installed this in DCR properties all over.
Jim?
Yeah, the only thing we need to make sure is that the decking is at least the maximum of 2 feet off the ground. So you don't have to put up railings.
Oh, yeah, no,
Is
this
anything over
is
2
all
feet?
puncheon. Yeah, it's all puncheon style, which is intentionally meant to be
Yeah, right.
lower.
Just to make sure that, we don't.
So you're not
want to
into
put it up and then,
permit land and railings and all that. Yeah, of course.
The building department comes by and says here,
Exactly.
2.5 feet high here, and you need to have railings, it's a safety issue.
Now, Rich, just a, I guess, point of interest. Once these are in, there are liability,
Yes.
correct? And maintenance would be by us? I mean, we could coordinate with you.
We're
Well, they
happy to
might
take care
probably-
of maintenance as well.
Yeah.
I donate maintenance, so.
Yeah, we'll facilitate and help with maintenance.
Okay.
Well, it's obvious there's no maintenance been done on them for a while now, anyway. So I wouldn't be worried
The
too much.
bikers are being a little
I mean,
lax out there.
honestly, a lot of the trails in New England that get mountain bike use is a lot of organic trail care that happens. It just happens.
Yeah.
But we would propose that if it's necessary for the board to consider this project, we would be happy
Okay.
to take care of maintenance on these.
Thank you.
So the proposal here for boardwalk number 1 is to extend it by roughly 25-ish feet. When we get into the field, we're just going to look for the muddy areas that we've been seeing all along and probably go even a little. I usually go longer because what ends up happening is you get a little leaf litter on the ends and in the middle and all throughout, and water tends to collect and go further after the bridge has been constructed. So we tend to go a little bit further than what you see here.
Are we allowed to put the approach to the bridge?
Yeah.
Can we allow stone dust, or not stone, but like 3/4 stone to be put in for that approach?
So it's a ramp?
Well, I'm going to get to that part. In pictures later on, we build ramps on either end of the bridge, so there's a smooth transition for all users.
Because I would think you'd always have mud at the approach, because everybody's stopping, going, or,
If we can get it out of the mud, then that will be the goal. We
Right.
won't
Yeah,
have that.
okay.
We're going to get it far enough extended
enough
away
out,
from
okay.
that.
Okay.
That's the goal. We don't like to go through the mud either.
I hear you there.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought,
Well, you would think not, but it really is true. This bridge here, you can see that it really was just originally built to cross the stream. Our proposal is to do roughly 23 sections of the 12-foot. I mean, it's 2 sections of the 12-foot and cross that whole area.
Is it gonna have a curve on it?
No, that's just me drawing with a tool on a picture.
Oh, I thought that'd be neat, having.
Well, if we have to build a curve, we will. but-
Yeah, no.
And you'll see in the pictures coming up.
Okay.
There are ways for us to build curves into the bridge. So I provided some pictures so you can get an idea of what these look like once they're constructed. These here are from the town of Easton. They were constructed back in 2010 with a grant that NEMBA secured for the town of Easton. $17,000 grant for a trail build-out in a trail system. And so you can see this bottom picture here, you can see the construction that we do. That's actually Dave right there, helping to build us right there. And, or no, actually it might be Scott Taylor. But you can get an idea of how the footings are roughly 6 inches outside of the width of the bridge.
And Dave, you can see the curve on the right-hand side?
I do.
Yeah, it will curve. We try to keep our curves roughly to not too sharp. The sharpest we would go would be about a 10-foot radius turn. There are cases where we have to do much sharper just due to like constraints in the landscape. Next slide. This bridge here is over in Easton as well. This one's roughly 13 years old. You can get an idea of how they age. And you can see how we do the curves. We cut pie-shaped decking boards and then transition. And you can get a side view. So a 13-year-old bridge, you can see how we toenailed it into the footing, decking screws across the top. And I believe the last slide is just more of the same. Yeah, it is.
How long of a project do you think this will be, time-wise?
We are getting really good at this. The hardest part will actually be the removal of the old stuff. The building of it will actually probably take, with the kind of crews that we've been getting, we could probably blast out both of them in a weekend.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's your ramp going up.
That's detail of the ramp.
But you still could have some stone on the end.
Yeah, like you said, if they're far enough away from the wetter areas, then they would need it, but I'm just thinking stone would be a good, but on bikes.
We've done that in a few areas, but not a lot. We try to just go as far as we can so that we're out of the wet areas. And
See
really
what it looks like once it's
sustainable. Yeah, exactly. And this is a modular construction, so if we need to add to it in the future, just because it's just having the same problem of being muddy again, it's easy enough to do that.
How slippery is that when it does get, it's pressure treated, I understand.
It's pressure treated.
You're going to get mold and...
Yes, it does get slippery when it's wet. It does.
They dry out pretty quick.
Do they?
Yeah. Especially when they're new. The first year, they're really slippery. After that, they bed in nicely. And they're still slippery when they're wet.
Oh, yes.
It's just like rocks and roots and everything else in the woods when they're wet.
Yeah.
A sign that would maybe say that the bridge was donated by your organization?
Sure.
So what we do is, that's a great idea. We've done signs, but what we do, and we're happy to accommodate a sign if that's your request.
It's for you.
We engrave.
What do you want to do?
We engrave New England Mountain Bike Association and then the date, that the year, just the year that the bridge was built, on either end on a decking board.
Okay.
And that way people can recognize, New England Mountain Bike Association contributed to this.
I think it's important that people understand that, you as a partner in this area have, held up your end of the bargain as we started all of this, that you would, maintain and help improve some of the trails, so.
I love it. So we've only just started the conversation. I would like to propose that, in the future we get together, and we've already talked about this in my first presentation, and start talking about trail planning in some of the other areas. And one of those aspects of planning would be, including this one, would be providing a kiosk, and then we could build the recognition in the kiosk, and have a map and a place for people to get trail maps and get a view of the actual map and all the other things. In our town, our land use agent has been actively using those kiosks that we've constructed all throughout town for when hunting season starts, a sign goes up. just to let people know, hey, this land is hunting allowable, just be aware. When we've had the eastern equine encephalitis, new mosquitoes come into town and be a problem every year, a little sign goes up in the kiosk. So just,
At the
we
beginning
actively
of the
manage
trail?
those.
You're talking at the beginning of the trails? Kind of
No, it would be
like
like a parking area or a place where
Yeah.
everybody enters the trail system. You'd have a kiosk with a roof and a map and all like that. So when we talk, future plans for some of these areas, that would be a great place to put
good.
that kind of recognition. But and if you want a sign at the bridge, we
No,
would have
it's
to do that too.
important for, residents see the organization using the trail, and they go, well, I'm a resident here, and these other people are coming on the bikes. Well, yeah, it's a partnership. They've maintained it. They've added to the project, and it's a partnership. It's not just they're coming in from out of town. The purpose of these properties in any town is for all of us to share in each other's property respectfully, and the other towns around us are building trails and doing the same type of thing. And we've been over the last few years really putting an emphasis on better signage, starting to get plans together as to how the trails are maintained and what that looks like, and getting CPC funding on a continual basis, that these are the maintenance issues every year, and so that we don't get to a point where no one could walk on a pathway because it's either overgrown, trees have fallen, or the boards are all rotted, or
So I actually like the idea. You sold me. Well, we could provide a small sign that would indicate that at each location that we furnished and contributed to build the bridge. And you guys can help come up with the language if you want.
And one of the things for Lynn Farms is we have to develop a parking lot for it, because the one that's there is really not ours.
Yeah.
So what's that?
That was brought up at the CPC meeting last night.
I'm glad you covered that. So on Marshall Street, there is a little one overgrown, looking at, let's expand that for like 10 cars or something. And, we'll work with you of, what do you think? And
Sure. Yeah, happy to help with that.
walkers and stuff. And so it's an easier place to park and get on the trail, and we're not going into somebody else's property.
Yeah, other groups have, like, parked at parking lot, and then, like, taken a van or a bunch of people in one car over to the spot, as opposed to, 6 or 8 people in a car ride. That's what they did.
Yeah.
So those are all the
Yeah, the
possibilities.
Rentham State School frowns upon, or at least one person of us having people park there by the Lazy Looper area.
Wait a minute, you talking about
The buddy.
my friend?
Yeah.
Has he complained about it?
No, I'm just mentioning your area without mentioning you.
Yeah, right.
Adam.
Adam will fight a guy.
Yeah, there's that kind of confrontation.
It was not that type of...
But, no, it sounds like a great proposal.
So we would propose to do this work as soon as our schedule allows. We're doing a project this weekend in F. Gilbert Hills to build a similar bridge.
Where is it?
F. Gilbert Hills, Foxborough. We're doing a project this coming weekend, but we have some calendar openings as early as before the end of August.
Oh, wow.
To get the work done. So, we our calendar fills up quickly. It's not easy to get volunteers to show up in the hot summer weather. So here we are. It's starting to cool off, and and now it's time to get out there.
You represent us.
I just volunteered. I said, have at it. Go for it. Oh, we got to vote on this, don't we? Sorry.
Okay. All right.
So if there's no objection, we would like to proceed with the work on these 2 projects.
Okay. Any other
So,
questions, comments?
I
Caitlin?
did have one comment just in regards to bridge number 2, since that is crossing a perennial stream.
Yep.
And it's not a replacement in kind, it's an expansion. So I, at this time, can't say whether or not that would need either an NOI or an RDA without knowing more project details, whether or not grading is going to be associated, where exactly the bank of that stream is. So I just,
Would we
wanted to
file,
add-
would
So
we
it's,
file that?
Can I address
Yeah, sure.
that? There's no grading. This is a punch-in boardwalk, so it literally sits on top of the ground. So the only disturbance is us putting it on top of the ground. Literally.
I would assume you'd place your boards where you wouldn't need rocks to stir it up or anything. You're gonna find a level area to place that board.
Correct, yeah. I mean, we just try to find an area where there isn't an actual other rock protruding out of the ground, which is why we have it built in a modular fashion with 2 footings on every section. I don't want to fight with the ground that I'm trying to put it on and try to marry them together and at the seam then be forced to excavate a rock in order to put my footing. So I purposely put them so you can be flexible and not have to make any disturbance on the ground. That's really the major intent of this punch-in boardwalk, so that you can literally just go in and no disturbance and it arrives.
And you
on
hand
site.
carry these sections in?
We bring them in as pieces. The beams get carried by volunteers, the 4x6 by 12 foot long, 2 per. And then we get enough volunteers where people are carrying 2, 3 pieces of decking themselves, and then the footings, again, 2 people carry them in. It goes quickly. You'd be surprised when you have a lot of helpers. Like I said, the hardest part will be on bridge number 1, removing all that old material and trying to deal with it. It's all attached, and we'll probably have to get a whole bunch of guys around each section and carry them out. But getting this stuff in is actually, I mean, it's a challenge, but it's not. Everything's in single pieces, and so we just lay it down.
Caitlin, any other comment?
Just so, again, without knowing where the bank of that stream is in relation to the proposed boardwalk,
Will you
I don't
stake
have
it out
enough
at all?
information
I'm sorry.
to.
Will you stake it out at all before you put it in?
If you'd like me to, I can.
I mean, if she is concerned on this number 2,
If you go to the picture of the existing condition of number 2, the bank is rock. It's actually confined by,
So will
The
the
rock.
bank, or mean annual high water, which may or may not be coincident with bank. So if the mean annual high water, which is where riverfront area is measured off of, where there's currently not a boardwalk, if you were to expand it, could potentially be an alteration of that area. You're reducing light to almost nothing. It doesn't seem like it's 3 feet all the way through there. So again, I don't have enough
do you want
information.
to
but
But-
go out
the
and walk,
commission.
do you want to walk it with them?
Yeah, I mean, if the commission wanted to.
If we go ahead with it.
Approve both, pending, a field inspection, just to confirm that, it meets the regulations and, no permit is needed, I think that would be a good compromise.
Yeah.
What are we concerned with here? Damaging the banks?
So if project, it's in riverfront area, also.
can I make a
looks like
comment about
wetlands
that?
on
'Cause I've
either
dealt with this
side,
before.
I'm
and-
just seeing more damage being done by the bikes.
Well, by trail use.
Trail use.
So by default, this trail is already getting more damage because it's not protected by a bridge, and we're opening up the soils and disturbing them every time,
So that's
not
why
just
I'm
us,
asking you, Caitlin,
all
what you're
users.
concerned
So
with the
we're removing that disturbance. putting
Wait,
this-
Just my
wait,
concern would
one
be that,
person at a time.
the commission is following, the regulations.
Yes.
And if a permit is required, obtaining one.
Why don't you coordinate a walk and let me know. I'd like to join in.
So I think, approval of these projects, which I think are are great, just pending
A few of them.
more research into bridge replacement number 2, proposed bridge replacement number 2 in particular.
Okay.
I'm really familiar with the bridge number 1 location. That's it's not in wetlands. It's definitely within the buffer zone, but can go ahead without a permit.
Okay.
And I mean, both activities are also, I confirmed they're allowable activities under the conservation restriction. It's just that the number 2 location, where, I would need to see it in the field just to confirm that, no permit is needed since
Okay.
we're dealing with resource areas.
Okay. So with that, I'll accept a motion to approve New England Mountain Bike Association to have 2 bridges replaced in Lynn Farms at their expense.
Jim Wilson, so moved.
Adam Zucker, second.
And with the caveat that, field and visit will be required beforehand with Caitlin and Neba.
Condition.
And I'm not sure your availability, but my schedule's pretty open next Monday through Thursday. So if you want to, either of you want to come up with the time that might work best for both of you or either one of you,
Okay.
let me know. We can
Yep.
get that scheduled. And hopefully, we continue to see cooler weather, so.
Yeah. Or at least not 90s.
After the rain this weekend.
Well, that's kind of, it can be a good time to look at those areas.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
I think it'll be a nice partnership. Then we'll get REI to chip in on something.
Open a can of worms.
All right, let's move on to 11 Pennacook Street. Request for CFC. Anybody here? Nope. Caitlin? What are they doing?
11 Pennacook, or the commission received a request for COC for the property located at 15 Pennacook, formerly 11 Pennacook. The approved project, which was approved under DEP file 240-633, involved the construction of a single-family home and associated site improvements within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. I conducted a site visit on July 30th and again today on August 14th to confirm existing conditions. The site's currently improved by a single-family home, attached garage, paved driveway, maintained and landscaped lawn areas. The one potential issue I wanted to note, so when I conducted my first inspection on July 30th, the site had just been seeded. So I did a follow-up today to see how that was progressing. There was definitely some growth. However, there wasn't a complete coverage.
100% coverage, yeah.
100% coverage, and I have pictures to see there. I reached out to the applicant to see if I could get information on whether there's an irrigation system there or what the watering schedule is like there.
Oval water. I went by it today myself.
Over
You think
water?
over?
That whole area is saturated with water all the time.
Oh.
Even though it's a raised
area.
It's a raised area with retention wall they put in by the street.
Yeah.
It's in a moist area, there's a lot of trees.
Do you think they have a sprinkler?
I don't think so. I don't believe so, because the septic system, you don't put a sprinkler system over your septic usually,
No.
so. I just don't think it's had enough time to establish, and we've had so much rain.
Yeah.
Seed, if it gets over wet, it
It's not gonna
turns to
go.
junk.
Yeah.
So that might need to be reseeded, or hydroseeded.
Yeah.
But who am I?
You're the king.
No, I want you to, you want to know who the king is? I'll write it right down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Can you read that better? Okay.
Didn't recognize the E.
Yeah. Jim, you're real quiet tonight. You're real quiet.
I'm just watching you guys.
You should have seen me last night. Oh, I had a ball on CPC meeting. We had,
I'll have to watch that.
boy, there's no TV. That's why I can do a lot there.
Oh, I thought you said it was video.
No, it's not videoed, no. Unless Donna Jones is videoing it, she's there all the time. She might be putting it on her phone.
So I guess, yeah, it boils down to whether or not, the site can be considered stable. It sounds like you would not agree with that.
I think it needs to be reseeded, my opinion, from what I saw.
Okay.
So maybe we could request them to reseed or hydroseed it.
And continue this matter to September.
Sure.
Because there's
Because that, yeah.
really nothing going, whether we approve it or not, this doesn't really matter.
No.
You just move it till the grass is grown.
Yeah.
Alan, you have their permission to use as much
I
water
was
as
just fortunate, I
needed.
drove by it today, I just happened to look at it. So,
Maybe they pump out water. So we can just move it to next month's agenda?
Yeah, because it's not, it's just an appointment, so
yeah.
we just
Why don't
move it
we
to
do
next
that?
month.
Yeah, then, yeah, see how it is, and at
Reach
that
out to them
time.
and, recommend they reseed or,
Yeah, if you reach out to them,
Kind of on. sketchy
unfortunately,
ground,
the
approving
photos
something
aren't
like this, and
downloading,
somebody else
but
comes
yeah,
along and
I
says,
wasn't
"Wait,
sure if it was,
Yeah,
okay.
it's got
Seed didn't
peach
take,
fuzz
or-
on there, but I think from what I've seen over the last 2 weeks with the rain we've had and that, if they seeded it,
It should have come out.
it should have been up like pretty good. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, I want to spend their money for them, but hydro seeding probably would be the best bet.
Yeah.
And it'll take quick, and it's got that
Fertilizer.
whatever, it's fertilizer, and there's also, I don't know what you call that stuff. It's
Sticky stuff?
inside it that'll hold it together. so.
Yeah.
But I didn't see much grass on it today.
Okay,
Mectin?
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but
okay, let's move on to 15 Fruit Street. We
so
need to
this-
just vote on it to,
no vote for this. So they just need a duplicate copy so they can get the amended order recorded because they need the original wet signature page for that.
so we just have to sign off on it tonight?
Yeah, just
Okay,
on the signature page.
we can do that.
I don't think I can sign, I wasn't here in May.
We'll let you, Jim, go ahead.
I'll sign anyway.
Your words.
Yeah.
See how that works out.
yeah.
Actually, I believe that would be considered a ministerial act.
Jim, so don't. We got 4.
Our clerk will have to take you out behind the woodshed. Okay, let's go, everybody read the minutes from the last,
Thanks, Adam.
and there's been some corrections.
I didn't find any.
Oh, it wasn't you.
You did, yes.
Yeah, I did.
Chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fixed. Thank you.
What was it? Because it was,
Chair. After his name, Chair. It's spelled incorrectly.
excellent.
You spelled the chair's name wrong, and you didn't put chair after his name either.
I didn't
No,
try
the name
to.
was right, the title was wrong. There was, missing an R.
Okay.
Chai?
We'll have to send you back to class.
I look for material issues, like who voted and.
All right. I take a motion to accept those minutes.
I'm going to abstain out of spite.
Go ahead, make the motion.
Peter Kokinda, so moved.
Thank you, Peter.
Al Finney will second those.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, correspondence. We love correspondence. What do you want Turner Street?
Yeah, so the commission was copied on, or sent a letter informing, or the commission that the abutters have filed an appeal for the order of conditions that was issued for 41 Turner Street.
We're being sued?
No.
No, so I said they filed an appeal, so now it gets turned over to DEP, who will review it and either issue a superseding order of conditions or pass back to the town if they believe a resolution can be made. So there's no action items needed along with that, just
Let it ride.
just to inform the commission.
All right, that brings us to the Fells Memorial Park this Saturday. They're dedicating it in honor of Barbara Bartholomew, who's a long-term member of the Historical Commission, who passed away recently. And so they're going to have a ceremony, so if anybody's interested in going.
I would assume there's a sign or some plaque being put up, or no?
They had an Eagle Scout do project. They cleaned it out, put wood chips down, bench. Good. Did they put a sign down?
There'll be a plaque on the bench.
Oh, okay, on the bench.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Donna Jones, associate member of the Norfolk Historical Commission. There were originally meant to be names of different trails from the Fales family. And so we've got those up now. There's a new bench. There'll be a plaque on the bench dedicated to Barbara.
Nice.
And it's this Saturday at noon.
Because there is a board plaque at the entrance, correct, that shows the whole pond and areas, or has that been removed, or that disappear?
There's like a big historic
Yeah.
display more on Campbell Street before the bridge. So if anybody doesn't know where it is, you
Yep.
come off of Seekonk, you turn onto Campbell Street, and then you're at the railroad bridge. You
Right when you go underneath it, on the
Yeah.
right.
just before you go underneath the stone
okay.
bridge, you see the
that's right.
historic display that gives the Fales family history
Mm-hmm.
and the industry they had in that area. And then after you go under the bridge, there's like a 45-degree angle hill to go up. So if you're coming, be aware it's uneven ground that you're walking on.
Not a lot of parking either.
Steep, not a lot of parking. I'm suggesting park on Lincoln Street. So go up about 45 degrees, and then there's some tree roots you're stepping over. But Santo was the Boy Scout that did the project to clean it up and install the bench and some birdhouses.
Yeah, he came in front of the Lions Club last night. And we gave him funds to cover his expenses
Thank you.
Great.
with 1%.
Had a project there before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
That's the
been,
one that Rosie gave a thumbs down because she had to walk.
It's a hike up that little hill, believe it or not.
We were on Zoom, and you asked her what she thought of it. She gave a thumbs down.
Yeah.
'Cause like, what?
Yeah.
No, I had to walk. There's too much walking on the trail.
Dad was too lazy to carry me. Okay. Reorganization. Now that we're in the new year, What?
The leachate report.
Don't forget the leachate report.
I'm sure everyone read that. They're really,
I question line item 4.
Let's go line by line.
refer to
concerned
DPW
about
with questions.
Okay, it seems to be working fine. That's the main goal. All right, Open Space Subcommittee. We had talked about having a subcommittee in the past meeting. And part of the discussion was maybe have Jim Wilson, if he was willing, because he was absent, so we voted to do it. If he would do it, and so he's accepted that, so I think we should formally recognize that we'll have a subcommittee for open space.
So that's, the board has already voted to create that.
Yeah.
I nominate Jim. So we need like a nomination for him?
A nomination, so yes, the Concom
We run
will
it.
be able to nominate and appoint 2 designees out of the total 5-person subcommittee. And just a couple other updates. Tentative meeting date would be the first Tuesday of the month in room 120.
Okay. Rich, anybody in the audience?
You want to get the commission to get the designees from Park and Rec too, right? And
Yeah, so there'll be
Select
2 designees from Concom, 2 from the Parks and Rec Board, and 1 from the Select Board.
Isn't there somebody from at-large, a resident? Or no? Just the 5?
Just the 5, yep.
Okay.
Thinking that large person might be not a bad idea.
What's that?
Someone at large.
That'd be a 6.
Well, so,
They could designate somebody who's not.
yeah,
The
so
Select Board.
the Select Board or even the
Park and
Rec
Rec.
Board or even this
Oh.
board, it doesn't have to necessarily be a member of the
Got it.
commission, just someone that the commission nominates.
Okay. So we're all
You should
good?
send a letter inviting them. Send the Park and Rec, say you want your designees by X date,
Oh, yes,
and then the Select Board.
yeah. We'll put a
So,
letter together. I'll write
Maybe a
something
week,
up.
is a week enough time prior to the September meeting? So that would be September 4th?
I don't know when does Park and Rec meet next? It'd probably be fine for the Select Board, but I don't know.
Let me pull up theirs, see if they have it scheduled.
Who's got the faster thumbs?
Our next meeting is September 11th, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a thing for Park and Rec.
3rd would be the Tuesday after Labor Day,
What is it?
the 3rd of September, if that was wrong.
Okay, so when is the?
So
rec
the
meeting?
Recreation Committee doesn't have anything currently scheduled. Their last meeting was July 17th.
Could you contact Dan tomorrow and find out when they're getting together and tell her what we're up to? And based on their meeting, we'll put a due date of, their recommendations for the board.
Yeah, then the only other comment about the date, the first Tuesday could be okay if the Select Board doesn't designate themselves to be on it. Otherwise, it would conflict with them, so I don't know, Because I think you were thinking about the first Tuesday of the month for the open space committee?
No, to give us a name.
Yeah. But I think you're also
He's saying
talking about when.
if someone from the select board wanted to, like, be on the open space subcommittee, that they would have their meetings that first Tuesday, so they would not be able to do that.
Oh, yeah. Again, we can
We can
give them
come
a
up with-
heads up.
We can come up with alternative dates.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not pressing,
Yep.
so we can push it back a week or two. Push it back a week.
Well, I can't do a week either, that's playing word, but on Tuesday.
You're worse than him. No, I take that back.
I played golf on that day.
Fourth
Okay.
Tuesday of the month, I don't think anybody takes, just FYI.
We're
If you
just
want-
looking for dates, for names.
Well, they're on Zoom, so I mean, eventually they're, well, no, they're gonna be in 120 anyway,
And
so.
so we can look into the fourth Tuesday.
Actually, it doesn't, well, you know what, disregard the second, because you were gonna meet in 120 anyway. If
Yeah.
it was the second Tuesday, if you wanted to do that, so it wouldn't matter, because nobody's
All right,
playing.
we'll come up and we'll notify them when to give us some names and. All right, moving on, the board. So it's time to reorganize or confirm who's doing what. No, we didn't.
They just took care of you.
Yeah, CPC we've done.
Yeah, okay.
This is the important
Important
seats
part,
So
the
it's-
chair, vice chair,
and the clerk.
secretary and treasurer and clerk. Where they're all here. Chair, vice chair, right? Secretary
Clerk.
and clerk.
Clerk.
No, clerk, I mean, I'm sorry.
That's-
Secretary sounded better, but
That's-
clerk will work
that's
for you.
sexist.
Oh, jeez. Anyway. Go ahead, sir. You've got the floor. I'm sorry.
So, we should have a vote on it, so it's in the minutes.
And, I mean, it doesn't have to happen tonight or at all. I included in the meeting file just some guidance from MACC about why boards reorganize. For example, towns that don't have an agent or any staff typically reorganize every year to share responsibilities. But it's not required under any act or under the Wetlands Protection Act or the Conservation Commission Act. Just something to think about.
Man, that's what we've done this in the past.
We're not de-seating you. You're going to stay as chair as far as I'm concerned. I'll make the motion right now.
I'll second that.
What, the complete board?
Well, I
The
just
complete,
did.
the three people.
I'm making a motion that Dave Torrey is the chair, Jim is the vice chair, and Adam is the clerk.
Okay.
There's only one person
I
that can
second
second.
Are you all willing to take on this responsibility? Okay, all in
We get a
favor?
raise with this one?
You know what?
You get 2 of these next time.
Yes.
It's a yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay.
Sorry, Val.
Well,
That Val
Val's
was next
starting-
time.
Oh, we forgot Val.
It's all right.
Oh, we
God,
could have
I'm
stuck
sure-
him with something.
I'm sure he's worried about it. We could have given him the CPC. Oh, I already took it for
Oh,
a
he's
year.
on
Yeah,
the
that's right.
Open Space Subcommittee.
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's right.
That's right.
Oh, wait a minute.
There's our second person.
You were
For
going to
open
be on,
space.
I was nominating you.
Oh, I'm already on enough boards. I'm done with that. If Elaine hadn't called me today, I would have missed tonight's meeting.
See, we know you.
Yes,
It's not even plowing season.
I know.
Okay, the next thing is Campbell Forest. We had talked about having Beta come and do a survey. It was about $70,000. there is some tree removal that needs to take place by professionals. So we were looking to go to propose a warrant to CPC for the fall meeting, so that it's going to be in discussion according to our liaison. They don't want to do it for the fall, but I think I've got to talk to them about that. What I suggest we do is do something like $100,000, not to exceed $100,000, and that'll give us money to do little tidbits of other things.
But just so I can make it clear to the chair, the CPC is requiring us to submit a proposal on what the $100,000 is going to be used for in detail. Not just, I want $100,000.
I understand that.
So that's what the CPC
Yes.
last night discussed and said we're waiting, they're waiting for
Yes.
from us.
Tomorrow, I have a meeting with a contractor. Hopefully, he shows up. I was supposed to have one yesterday, and that guy didn't show up, so I guess he's not interested. But it's got to go out to bid anyways. But to give us a quote on what it would cost to stone dust and rock mixture for the trail. Now, before that's going to happen, I mean, because it probably wouldn't happen until the spring or over the winter, is I'm trying to get the Lions to spread mulch or wood chips. We've got the wood chips for free, and we need somebody's labor. It could be maybe Boy Scouts too, because we'll get a Bobcat, and all they do is rake it out and keep on going. So I don't want to drive the Bobcat. Well, I'll use his tractor.
Val has one too, I think. Well,
So,
Somebody lend me a tractor.
but we can rent one from Taylor, and they'll give us they'll train and give you the license, because you need a license to do.
You got a lot of acreage, you should have a tractor.
I know.
You're way behind. Okay, so I don't think we have to do anything. Once I get,
So we conducted a site walk with Tree Tech to look at problem trees. There's several large pines, like right along the edge of the trail.
did they send in their
we had-
quote yet for the,
We haven't received that, no.
we're going to do a
Just
daily
Just
rate?
a verbal, probably, he estimated about 5 days' worth of work. He actually, after our initial walkthrough, myself, David, and Rich, we had, thought there was a number of problem trees that needed to come down. After the walkthrough with Tree Tech, based on his professional opinion, not as many trees needed to come down.
None that Rich wanted to come down. But the beech trees are diseased,
Yeah.
so,
Unfortunately, a problem, not just in town,
New England.
statewide. But that could be something to think about.
so we can put
next
that
few years.
together
Forest management
as a line
plans.
item. And then,
Are we planning on going in front of the CPC not only for 80 or 100,000 for engineering, flagging and stuff, but then you're going to have additional costs?
maintenance,
And they'll require that number too.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, we'll
like the
have each
gazebo, for instance, we got 75,000 for engineering and stuff, and 300,000 to put the gazebo in and stuff. So that number could be, they need to know that number as well.
yeah. No, it'll be broken out, we'll break it down.
All right, I don't want it to come in front of the CPC and then look at me like, huh? I want to make sure.
And I don't want to get that phone call.
Yes. We want our I's dotted and our T's
Yes.
crossed and everything for this.
Double cost. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to talk about?
Oh, Campbell Forest sign.
Oh. Yeah, to put out front on the road, a
Yeah, I
sign.
believe it was when we did a site walk with two of the CPC members. I believe it was Gary Sullivan didn't even know that
It was
that
there.
parking lot was there, because it is, if you drive by it and you don't know it's there, you wouldn't notice it.
So we'll talk about it and get a price from the prison. Because they do signs. Along with license plates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, do we know who did the Pondville wooden sign?
Oh, they don't do wooden signs.
What do you mean, the water tank signs?
No, the one,
Oh, the one that I'm talking about that's not up there right now?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to discuss with the board tonight.
Oh,
But I don't know who did it. The Pondville Conservation Land sign that's on Pond Street, right now just has the sign's
Frame.
gone, because the plows hit it with the snow, the hooks and everything got worn, and it is now sitting in the DPW, and I'm afraid it's gonna disappear. And it's very thick, heavy gauge, and it's a good sign. We just need to rehab it.
Yeah.
And the DPW was gonna put a metal frame, at least across the top and down the sides a bit, to put the two anchors in that hang by chain, but I don't see that happening. So I'd gone to Caitlin and said, do we have funds here that we can have the school or somebody rehab the sign for us so we can hang it back up?
Maybe Tri-Vale, or...
Tri-County.
Tri-County.
Yeah, or,
Do we really need the sign facing, can we turn the angle of the sign so it's perpendicular
well,
to the road?
it's double-sided, and it's,
I know, but if we turned it perpendicular to the road, we wouldn't have the snowplow issue.
well, that's, yeah, we've had, it usually is only an issue when it's slushy.
Yeah.
And the way the sign is hung with chains and that, it's held up for many years. The problem is the eyelets, the eye hooks on the top
Yeah.
rotted off.
Okay.
So that's why if we reinforce that with a metal,
Frame.
I'll say A-frame or, channel, and then lock those two eyelets in, it'll probably last step there for another 20 years.
We have, what, $8,000 budget?
But, I don't know.
no,
8,000.
that was the,
Well, I
that was
asked
the
that
timber
last
account
night.
that was never funded.
Do we have an account?
Do we have money?
Yeah.
This is a government project.
$750.
Huh?
Yeah.
$750.
I could reach out to Tri-County, assuming they're, would be starting soon, and
If
that
we
could be a
could.
good project.
Yeah.
'Cause
And I
it's
could
a-
reach-
It is a really nice
It's a
sign.
restoration project, and I can
Yeah.
reach out to CPC for some money to restore it, maybe, if it's gonna be that.
By a
It's
separate
nice-
line item.
It's nice
Separate
gold-
line
It's
item.
nice gold lettering, but it needs to be brought back to life, because it's
Yeah.
all worn. It
Yeah.
really needs some attention. So maybe
Okay.
Tri-County would be the best bet.
But also,
We
I'd
can
like
try
to
that
put a,
And you're
brown
welcome
sign.
to bring that and store it
Yeah,
in
I'm
my
gonna grab it and
office.
bring it to you, because it's
Okay.
gonna disappear, get destroyed at DPW.
she might need a bigger office.
No, it's not that
big
big.
sign.
It's about as big as, a little bigger than that TV.
I know.
That's
Yeah,
not
it's-
gonna fit in her office.
Oh, yeah.
We'll find room.
Upright. Put it on the ceiling. But, yeah, but we should get the brown signs, which I guess are the park conservation regulation ones, to identify one for Lynn Farm and one for Campbell Forest, to put at their parking lot on Campbell Forest. Yeah, we've got to increase the parking lot, and that'll be part B of this discussion with Rich. And then we'll put it on Marshall Street.
Are these large signs, similar like White Mountains National Forest kind of signs?
No, no,
Well, I mean, they're brown and they're, small ones like
Yeah.
that.
yeah. Or the size of the TV.
Well, maybe a little bit bigger than that.
You want
Yeah.
something you can
it driving
see.
by?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking. I'm not being
Yeah.
facetious here. I'm
Oh, you
just-
want to make it,
And then
You know.
you can keep those and
In my
put 'em
garage?
Put them up in your garage.
Yeah, when time comes when I retire, I'll steal them and hang in my garage.
You can keep them now.
Oh, okay.
Rich, you were gonna look at the zoning laws for setbacks and all for the parking lot?
it was? Okay, I'll look at that.
Because we
Well, the
need
thing, so here's
to,
the,
we need to expand it.
no, I know that. The thing is, you do need to get a permit from the planning board, though, to expand the parking.
Is this off Marshall Street?
No,
Where are you talking?
with Campbell
That's Campbell.
Forest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Why?
well, when we changed the bylaw a couple years ago, we didn't go completely, we don't need a permit. Let me we changed the bylaw so that the parking requirements, the planning board had the ability to waive a lot of requirements, so you could kind of best fit parking in with these conservation areas. But it did require it going before the planning board to do it. so-
Okay. All right.
So we do.
But other than that, you don't think that nothing else?
No, I don't think so. I'll
Okay.
double check with Bob.
So maybe one day we can go out and do some measurements and
Yeah, sketch
try to
something
figure out what the best way to do minimizing tree cuttage. And the other thing that is going on is Lions are looking at their liability insurance to see if they would cover Lions going in and doing work in there, in the woods. So we just want to make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed on that. So we should get that probably next week or so, and they will work out a project with them.
Yeah, because we need to really start looking at making a list of what maintenance we have for each of the town properties, what we designate as something we need to have a paid company do, something the Lions agrees to, something the Boy Scouts agree to, something maybe the Girl Scouts and the 4-H. And then all these small projects, we know every year, this group's gonna do the raking, this group, every 3 years, we need to put down mulch. And then we get that down, and then who's doing the tree cutting, tree repair, and then what do we allocate for that for each year, for each of our properties?
Yeah, well, for the Lions and the insurance came up is they've got one, maybe two good chainsaw people to take down trees. But Caitlin wants to make sure on the insurance, along with Reg.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it before. Now, they won't cut down the huge trees that need to come down, but there are dead ones, and that are just gonna flop. All the trees are just
Let me
gonna
add it.
flop. And so, what's that?
Said, let me add, I'm certified.
Certifiable.
I am. I'm taking courses and everything. But anyway,
But are you Caitlin approved?
no.
So that, once we get that cleared, then, yeah, we'll do, okay, here's what we want them to do, and we'll go back in and start marking up trees to come down, and then the same thing like we did with tree tech, with which beech trees need to come down. And it's really the ones closest to the trail, and looking at the trail being expanded width-wise, what's needs to come down, or where we could take the trail around and stuff like that.
So another thing I want to talk to the board about is, and I'm not nominating myself for this, I don't know how to go about it, but we need
No.
somebody to, like Marshall Street, the parking lot we're proposing we want, CPC has no problem with funding the money to do this, but we need somebody that organizes it and sees it through. And we don't have anybody that does that stuff.
So ideally, this would be a task for the open space subcommittee.
Okay, so that would work.
Or what I was thinking, where my little mind is going, is maybe divvy up our properties to each member and say, okay, I've got Campbell Forest, Jim's got Lynn Farms, you've got the one behind the school,
Yep.
Peter's got one, we've got, 7 or 8 properties. And that way, you can go and assess it, and then come back to the subcommittee and say, here's basically what we need, we want to work with you, and with that group, put a plan together. And
So that may be something we look at too at the subcommittee level.
yeah, but we could,
Well, this
But I agree with you, Whitney.
is something that would also be fleshed out in the open space and rec plan update, evaluation of all of our open space areas.
How do we go about getting monies? I mean, like Rich just said, we've got $750 in an account. That's peanuts. That's not gonna do anything. So, I mean, obviously CPC will do certain things, but they're not gonna do all of this stuff.
well, what's the
So-
plan for the new Pond
So there's
Street,
different things.
who is going to pay for that improvements?
We don't own it yet.
When?
Additional land?
Hypothetically.
I talked to Ann about that today. It's still in limbo.
Yeah, but who would pay for the improvement on that?
Well,
That'd come back
I
to
mean, there was-
CPC or the town.
So there was discussion about applying for some grants to do some of the work down there.
So there's
Pond
grants,
Street, And CPC money.
The commission could create a conservation land fund that people could donate to. Or once the fund has been created, they could request money from CPC to be placed in that fund to be used.
You at the discretion.
Well, CPC spoke last night in regards to a new thing that Rentham's doing, and apparently it's it's Concom, it's a fund that Concom would be in charge of. And what they do is CPC puts $200,000 in it, but it's only to be used for open space purchase.
For purchase.
Purchasing. So that would be like, I would assume, this project at Pond Street to purchase it. Now, I don't know if it means it would also, you could use some of that to maintain it, or?
Yeah, look at the laws, or the rules for CPC on how you can use that money.
Right.
Because
It's
it's
tight.
defined, you just can't maintain, it's enhancement, I think is the
Yes.
word. So, and that's what we want to do with Campbell Forest, is enhance it. Lynn Farms, we want to enhance it.
Yeah, it's not
Lynn Farms is going to be
historic.
cheaper to do because it's mostly grass and not as wooded. But there will, if we continue Lynn Farms to 1A, then, yeah, more work has to be done. But, yeah, we need to set it up and get the estimates and who can do it and what has to be done, and then we'll go to CPC and say, we'd like X funds for this parcel, this parcel, this parcel.
That's what I'm, you know.
Yeah. No, we're
there's
gonna give
millings.
them
They just did a lot of millings for the streets we just repaved, and the DPW has a ton of millings. But the thing is, to bring a contractor in for Marshall Street, I'm gonna refer to, you gotta still clear the land.
Yeah.
And dig out, 3 inches, 6 inches, and then we could bring millings in there. And millings almost turns into a parking lot.
Yeah.
Over time, and it's perfect.
Or talk to Blair and see if he'll send a crew over.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, now you're asking for too much. I've already discussed that, and it's not gonna happen. We'd have to hire, a company to come in and clear that. I can get estimates on what it would cost. I have a couple companies I know of that would probably do it, but,
That in paid town rates.
well, that's the other thing, too. Rates
It's gotta be
nowadays, it's
town rates.
prevailing wage,
Yeah.
okay? You can't get anything done for regular hourly rate anymore.
Well, that's,
Prevailing wage.
yeah, and that's what Campbell Forest, taking the trees down.
Mm-hmm.
Or, no, putting the stone down, prevailing wage.
Yes.
And so he gave me a couple contractors that he's uses, and so I called them.
It's awful to say you gotta try and get volunteer people to do it, because if you don't, you gotta pay prevailing wage, and on the average for laborers, you're looking at $65, $70 an hour.
Yeah. But if
It's
you-
expensive.
But once you're talking about stone placement, it's so heavy.
Yep.
You need professionals,
Yeah.
right equipment, so you can take more than a couple wheelbarrows and
Yeah,
a bucket loader.
Exactly. So,
So, those are things to think about. And maybe next meeting, we can talk a little bit more. I'll start looking at all of our properties and make a list and say, okay, this deserves improve, we think that it could be improved, and then we can delegate it. And then, get that other subcommittee in place and do some winter research.
that's why this bike
Yeah.
company here, I don't want to, I'm positive with anything they want to do, to be honest with you.
And
because
he'll
it's
help us on these other trails,
That's
too.
where, that's where I'm going with that, grants and stuff, but I also want to make sure we do what our
Yeah.
young lady over here wants us to
Yeah.
do right.
But he said even Campbell Forest, he'll walk it, and about trail development there.
Yep.
So, and I'd really like to do the spur that goes to Alice Street.
Yeah, you don't even know
Improve
that's
that.
there.
That's going to be, yeah, and it's more of a challenge, but I'm sure they can do it. But there are bridges that are required, but it's going down that
The
elevation.
thing is that the entrance there, You don't see it, it's all overgrown.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so.
So that's it. That's all I had on my little list. Anybody else?
If you're taking.
Yes, Donna. Come on down. You can close out our meeting.
I was surprised Alan didn't bring it up from the community preservation.
I forgot, Donna, that's why you're here.
What did they nominate him and select him for?
So what started as a Barbara Bartholomew project was to clean the weeds from the town park at Highland Lake. And then it was like, wait a minute, we have other lakes and ponds in town, how about evaluating them for weeds? So there was a CPC survey, CPC approved survey to do certain ponds. So that was one vote, one account. And then I wasn't sure what the status is of the treatment of those ponds. I thought there was like a 3 or 5 year plan approved, and there's Comey's Pond, which, the City Mills Pond, I remember the consultant
Well, I
saying.
think Caitlin can address
The
that.
weeds are coming in and irrigation was needed, and there's a trail around Comey's Pond, and it's like, why maintain the pond, the trail, if the pond's gonna get closed in? So I just wondered the status of those treatment
Sure,
plans.
if you want to reach out to me tomorrow, I can send you the latest information on the status of all of those treatment projects.
Okay.
There are plans. And they're available in the file,
And-
but we can publicly available.
And Highland Lake people are writing on Facebook, is like, oh, the weeds are here, we've got to do this.
That's a private lake,
And, well, Highland Lake
isn't
is
it?
No, it's owned by the
Vales
town.
Park.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's
It started the
got
situation.
an association
so-
and all, but it's still owned by us, and we're
Yeah.
taking care of the weed control on it, as far as funding is concerned, I believe.
So there will be some projects, that one in particular, in general, that needs to have more management, who's going to be responsible. So the CPC, which is great, they fund projects, and I go to them as well. But I think as we kind of move forward on a lot of these things, you need to have, all right, who's going to be the lead, and who's going to, what role they're going to play and what they're going to do. So it's clear for everybody, because it is not, I will say, that it would be better because people ask these questions but it needs to be better designated. Like, I'm doing a Medi-Common agreement. Okay, boom, I know I'm doing that. But some of these other projects that they want, they just fund them, but they don't think about the organization of it. Like, who's going to ride over it? And just say, well, they're going to do it. Well, that's not as clear as it could be. And some properties are different under other care and custody. So as we go forward, I think when they have a project, it needs also who's going to be the lead on it, and that's
Do
gonna be
that
the
up
point of
front,
contact
yeah.
up front.
That's what we are doing, Rich. We spoke
Yeah.
about that, like,
All
for
right.
instance, Town Hill.
Yep.
Didn't determine that is Justin Casanova Davis
Yep.
and the select board responsibility, not Ann Proto, which everybody thought it was Ann Proto.
No.
Right.
So,
They don't.
and that's what I was just talking to the board about with these projects, especially like Marshall Street, the parking lot. We
Yep.
have nobody to see it through. So, yeah, the money's there, but if there's nobody going to see it through, it's just going to sit there.
Right.
So,
And that has to be where we go, because like that, the Marshall Street project, well, DPW, you say you want to do it, but they're busy, they're doing other stuff, so it's like a good project, but unless you got soup to nuts.
You have to have it
management-
organized, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
And I think, like the waterways we have organized and Caitlin's handling it, well, maybe we have to publicize that more internally in the town and say,
yeah. Well, I'm also, I will, okay, yeah, yes. I'll also say that going forward, projects should, come through the town and contractors work through the town, and they're not talking, the public's not out
Yes.
there interacting with contractors.
yes, yes.
Yes.
That's not, that's got to stop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not how you do these projects.
Yeah,
And so,
and it's happening.
they take over and they're doing things that they really shouldn't be doing,
Yeah.
actually. And which
absolutely right.
is annoying, frankly. But I understand they have good intentions too, but that kind of organization's got to be tightened up, because it's definitely got some old, I'll talk to, I already told Cindy I was going to call her and talk more about the same topic, because
Yes.
I understand, but there's the other side of this.
Okay.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Now, take the motion to end this.
Oh, one more. Wow. And this.
So bleak.
I'll make a motion.
I'm not recognizing him.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Peter Coogan, the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sustained.
Are we off?